Yeah, this is a very special interview tonight with Carrie from the USA. Hi, Carrie. Nice to
Hi,
meet you.
Sonia. Nice to meet you as well.
I'm in Switzerland and you are in the USA. And we said, okay, your story is so incredible and also very, very sad. And we said, okay, we really have to make an interview about that. So maybe it could help you and maybe it could help also other parents in the same situation, I hope. And yeah, you were unlawfully incarcerated. You are still subject to further abuse and discredit. You lived so much. Your daughters were alienated from you, so you can't see them anymore. And you exposed this legal fraud, deception, and have been alienated, as I said, from your daughters. Maybe you can start a little bit from the beginning so that the viewer can have a can follow your story.
Sure.
Yeah.
So two marriages, two narcissistic ex-husbands. First marriage was 10 years. Took getting out of it to realize how toxic it really was.
Mm-hmm.
The divorce went pretty okay, joint custody. There was no co-parenting over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I later remarried and had another daughter with my second husband. Things continued to be difficult with the first husband, co-parenting, but I drove the children back and forth to school. It was about an hour one way from where I lived.
Oh, yeah.
And so I worked full time, did the whole
Mm-hmm.
whole working mom thing.
Yeah.
I was with the second husband approximately 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
There were red flags. There were red flags.
Mm-hmm. So you already knew that you could see that something is wrong there. Okay. Yeah.
So fast forward, there was some abuses, never physical,
Mm-hmm.
but there was some abuses going on. There was mistreatment of me, the verbal stuff, interfering with the children and the pets, and just a lot of intense things.
Mm-hmm.
I found an email accusing my second husband of raping one of his daughters, an adult
Wow.
daughter.
Okay.
And, reading that, of course, I went to my daughter, who was then 11, and asked her if he had ever made her feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
She reported some abuse. And like most parents, I believed in the system. I believed if you were doing the right thing and you needed to report abuse, the system was there to protect you.
Yeah.
Her and I, the older kids were at school,
Mm-hmm.
and her and I went down to file a police report. They would not interview her. They would not even really take a report. I tried to get a PPO that took over 2 weeks, and I barely got the personal protection order. Long drawn out process. And after they interviewed me, a third party was consulted to interview both parents. I begged them to interview my second husband's children, his adult children, his younger children. I begged them to interview my children. They would not do that. So they ended up making me drop the personal protection order and said that my then 4-year-old child should be with this man half the time. Now this man has already served 10 years in prison for murdering his newborn child before I was in the picture.
Oh,
and he's had other children removed permanently by CPS from his care.
And they said your child should be there half of the time, 50,
yes.
50, something like
yes.
that. But they knew that. I mean, they were aware
right.
of all
right.
that.
Right.
And even then they took this decision.
Yes. They said that I made up the accusations of abuse and that I wanted the house. So I gave him the home, which, by the way, he had 2 homes, the marital home, and then he had a home that was vacant previous to that.
Yeah.
So here I am living with family. First husband comes along and says, I would also like to fight for full custody of the children, change of circumstance. So he was awarded full custody. The same third party agency was enlisted to do an interview and find out the ins and outs of that situation. This time they did interview my children, and they ruled that I was in an abusive situation with the second husband and that I stayed too long. And in part, that was why they awarded the first husband full custody. So throughout this process, I'm so confused with things like my evidence of having a CPS report where the children have stated that they felt safe with mom, they didn't feel safe with dad, or first or second husband. This evidence was never presented. My son had a counselor who was very much in favor of us continuing our relationship and continuing to see each other. My attorney, whom I'm paying, was very derogatory to this counselor. And I stood there in court time after time thinking, why are we being mean to people who are helping us, who are willing to support us? Yeah. And then I met Julian. Yeah. And so I go to Julian Coulter's page and I see all this information about the name and capitals and narcissistic abuse in the family courts and how it's all interconnected. And once I learned about the name and capitals and the legalese and the terms that entrap us, it made everything make sense that didn't make sense before. Yeah. How can children be removed from a caring mother who has done nothing but try to protect them? How can
it's a huge industry. We really have to understand. I don't know in the United States, but I can tell you in Germany, it's a over 4 billion year industry. Okay, just to remove the children and to put them into another place or in another family or whatever, and everybody gets paid. I mean, the psychologists, the attorneys, the lawyers, I don't know what. This is it's an industry. Yeah, and
And they've done a good job here in the States. I don't know what it looks like in other countries, but they've done a good job. A lot of single fathers think that that the men are targeted. And so they've done a good job when women like myself have something like this happen. Yeah. People go, oh, she had to have done something.
You have to be a very bad mother because otherwise
it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So it's been an interesting process, but through all of it, learning that I wasn't crazy, that there was corruption, there was weird things going on around me, to finally have the relief of going, okay, that actually makes sense. The truth will set you free.
Yeah.
I was naive. I thought if you didn't do anything wrong, and you told the truth in court,
that you are helped.
Yes.
And that everything will be fine. I know, but it's normal to be this naive. I mean, that should be the right way. And that's what they always tell us. But it's not the truth. Unfortunately, it's not the truth.
It's not. It's not. So I was eventually arrested for kidnapping my now 15-year-old daughter. She was at the time 14.
But how can that be? I mean, she was with you in holidays or something, or?
They changed it to, after about a year and a half of long drawn out, they waited till my daughter was over 18. My son hadn't seen me in over a year. And then they finally said, yep, you can have her only. We went from joint custody, 50-50, to I could only have my daughter on Wednesdays and every other weekends. Okay. And my other daughter, those were the days that she went with my second husband, with her father, was Wednesdays and every other weekend. So I begged this judge, I said, Your Honor, please, my children have been through enough. They've been separated from each other. Please don't do this to my children. Please don't separate them any further. And this judge said to me, there's no telling how many children this woman has by how many different fathers, but it's not this court's job to keep them together. And then ruled that my 14-year-old had the same parenting time as her, you know, so I would never, they would never see each other. They would never see each other.
They just, And so you kept her a little bit longer so that she can be with her siblings. And so, but
at this point, my 8-year-old, she's now 8, she was 6 at the time, was taken by her father by a bogus court order from another county, front of the court. And so she was taken from her school in first grade. I dropped her off that day, and I have not seen her in over a year.
Yeah. That happened to my son also.
It's happening. It's happening. And the unfortunate thing is, I don't think people will comprehend until it happens to them. Until it's right on their doorstep.
Yeah. Because it's so incredible, and it's so unlawfully. You cannot, as a normal human being, you cannot imagine that if nothing happened, that things like that can happen. Yeah, it's very difficult for people to understand that these things really happen to normal people like you and me. Yeah, you don't have to be a drug addict, or I don't know, just normal people. Yeah.
Right.
And children, the children are really also very traumatized by all that, of course. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Carrie.
No, you're okay. You're okay. No, you're absolutely fine. So that's the, I don't know where we were at.
So they took away your daughter from the school, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. My 14-year-old came for a visit. Yeah. We knew, because we know what's going on in this world. We knew beforehand that Corona was going to be a thing, and they were going to cancel schools. So coincided with me submitting my revoked consent to the front of the court. Yeah. I'm no longer consenting in your involvement. I've evidenced what you guys are all about. 2 separate counties. You do nothing but promote. The only thing consistent is that you're promoting the abuser and targeting the victims. That's the only thing consistent. So I submitted my revoked consent, and my daughter also wrote a 2.5-page letter explaining why she wanted to be with mom, needed to be with mom. She was not heard. She was not heard. She was not heard in the court. She was not heard with this letter. That letter, in conjunction with my revoking consent, gave the friend of the court fuel to then, I must be crazy if I don't want them involved in my life, right? So now they issued a warrant for my arrest due to my daughter being in danger with me because I'm mentally ill. And I'd like to just back up a moment on that too. What I was going to say. Forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll
no problem. We will come back later.
So my daughter submits this letter. I submit this letter. They issue a warrant for my arrest. I've had multiple interactions with police. Well, we want to just make sure the child is okay. They've spoke to her through a window at a friend's house. I had one officer bruise my arms up trying to enter into my friend's home. However, I did hand deliver my paperwork to that officer, and that county police force left me alone. From then on out, they backed off. They left me alone. They left my child alone. Fast forward, about 3 weeks was all I had her. And she was taken. I was arrested. She was taken by a police car, which I gotta believe was very scary for her. I was not able to say goodbye to her.
No.
I was arrested. This would have been April of 2020. And I was placed in jail for 12 days. This was when I began to really know that I stepped in it. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Back to this friend of the court and revoking consent. I think it's very important for people who are maybe just learning about this, or maybe you've just stepped into it and you thought, this isn't a similar experience to what I've had, and I couldn't believe how family fraud court went down. It's very important for people to realize that if a husband, a wife, a mother and father never step into a family court office and they go, okay, we're going to go our separate ways, but you get the children Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'll take the children Tuesday, Thursday. We'll share weekends. If people come up with an agreement outside of the front of the court and they never consent to their involvement, no law is broken.
Mm-hmm.
No law is broken.
Yeah,
and
that's very important
not
to
a
know.
law court.
Yeah.
And what I like to use that perspective as, now if one party says, hey, I see what's going on here, I realize that you guys don't have my children's best interest at heart. I realize now that I know what's better for my children than you guys do, and I no longer consent to your involvement. There's still no law broken.
Yeah,
there is still no law broken.
Yeah.
And so what people really have to start on the most basic level is, don't involve them in your life.
In your life. Yeah. Yeah, because as soon as you do that, you have a contract with them.
Yes.
And then you are in the system again, and then it's very difficult to come out of that. Yeah. Yeah. But as you said before, it's normal that people think, okay, I go there, I will be helped. Justice is right, but justice has nothing to do with you being right or he being right or whatever is right. That has absolutely nothing to do with that. Yeah. So that's also a false belief of the people, that we think we go to court and we are in our rights, but we will not have our rights there. So, and yeah.
Right.
Mm.
So, and that is the hardest part of all of it, is I think getting past most people's preconceived notions that you go to the police and they're going to help. If you just report, and I have a newer empathy for victims.
Yeah.
Because you can't just leave. You have to have a plan and a support system.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come from the police.
No.
It doesn't.
Yeah. So you went to jail the first time for 12 days. And then what happened after these 12 days? And so, what for? You went to jail for kidnapping. You said, I think yes. Kidnapping your own daughter.
Yes. So while I was there during those 12 days, I didn't know. I've never been in trouble before. I've 15 years banking. That's my experience. Anywho. So I go to jail. I didn't realize that you were supposed to have a bond issued pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. I go to court. The judge hears my case. Well, first, let's back up. I was given the paperwork, my Bill of Rights. There's a box on the paperwork for you have to fill out to have public defender. Mm-hmm. So I crossed that whole box out. I was wanting to represent myself. So I go to court and there's a public defender on the phone. And she says, trying to talk to me about my case. And I said, no. I was trying to go per se. And I was representing myself. And she said, well, you sound really out of it. And I had a migraine. You don't get a mat. You don't get a blanket. It's really inhumane.
What, you sleep on the floor?
There's a bench, a cement bench. Yeah. Yeah, no shower. Both times I was in jail, 6 days, no shower. It's really inhumane. They say you're in quarantine, but they move girls in and out of the cell the whole
Wow.
entire time you're in there. So it's not quarantine. It's silly. It's silly. No soap. And we're in the middle of a pandemic. You can't even wash your hands.
And
It was terrible. So anyways, she says, you sound, this public defender, you sound really out of it. And I said, I am. I'm in pain. I'm hurting. And she says, well, she said, would you like me to represent you and get you out of here? And I said, that depends. Are you representing me as a human being, or my trust
yeah,
account, my name in capitals?
yeah,
And she
yeah.
says, oh, I see what you're doing here. Let me, this is when I knew I stepped in it. Let me get you out of here so you can continue your path to independence. And the bailiff sat back, smiled in his chair, and it's just me and him in the room. And it was like, oh, wow. I really stepped in something. I knew it was real,
Yeah.
but then this was just another affirmation.
This was like, okay. So, yeah.
So we get in front of the judge, and literally the only thing that the judge is concerned about, that you don't speak for yourself because it's not you, it's your trust account that's being represented. They're just tapping into it. So you don't speak for yourself.
Yeah.
And so the only thing they were concerned about having me speak about was whether I had been delivered my Bill of Rights, had I signed it, and did I understand it? Well, this is very important with this legalese. There's a secret language that all of us need to realize they use to entrap us.
Yeah.
And if you think about every time you've been in front of a judge, or maybe you've only just been pulled over, there is something they always ask you, and it's, do you understand?
Do you understand? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And most people don't realize that they're saying, when you say yes, you are saying you stand underneath them in agreement.
Yeah.
And so if the word comprehend and understand were interchangeable, it should not invoke any kind of reaction from anyone. However, when I said yes, I read it, I signed it, and I comprehend it, the judge shot his head up, glared at me, and then ordered a mental health evaluation, as this defendant has said some very odd things. So fast forward, I get the mental health evaluation. It goes fine. I've met with a probation type officer, and because I don't have any history of drug abuse and there's none of that, she's recommending that I just be released from jail on my own recognizances. I'm thinking I'm going home. My partner,
it's up to them to prove. No, it's up to them to prove something, and they cannot prove anything, but they just keep you in jail. And when they see, oh, we cannot keep her in jail any longer, they order some mental this is but that's another industry.
Right. And they want to discredit those who are standing up about it.
And turn it upside down. That the victim is becoming the how did you say that? The victim is becoming the target and vice versa. Yeah.
So the mental health evaluation, first one went fine. Thinking I'm going to be going home, and that following Monday rolls around. My partner calls the jail. Nope, the judge was not happy with that mental health evaluation, and he was going to order yet another one. So same girl comes with one of her coworkers. They interview me. Now they're asking me more about Julian. Julian was on the phone when I was arrested. And so Julian was telling the police officers things that a lot of us don't know. Where is her arrest warrant? She needs to be presented with this warrant and be able to read it prior to her being arrested. And so of course the officers didn't appreciate that. So I'm getting asked all these questions about Julian, and again I passed that mental health evaluation. So now the judge is between a rock and a hard place, and he's got to give a bond. So he gives a $15,000 bond for me. Now I've been in jail now a total of 12 days, and he gives a $15,000 bond. And I wish if I had it to do over again, I would have said, no, I'll sit here and I'm not bonding out. I'll sit here and we can do this jury trial thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I bonded out.
Mm-hmm.
They dragged that out. I went to several court cases or court hearings, and then I missed one. And I didn't tell you earlier, but I was rearrested in January of 2021. The bounty hunter came and got me. I was arrested. I was arrested with a fever. I had a low-grade fever. I was again thrown into the quarantine for 6 days, no shower, no medical attention. They didn't check my same thing.
This is torture. I mean, this is pure torture.
Yes.
Yeah. This
is how they entrap people to plead guilty. Because
sure. Yeah.
Most folks are going to plead guilty just to make it stop. The lights are on 24 hours.
And they are afraid. And of course, I mean, who would not? If you never have been in jail, or even if you have been, who wants to go in there? I mean, honestly, I mean, it's not so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. You're scared, consistently scared that you might get some sort of disease. I mean, there's no soap. These girls are using the restroom. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Inhumane.
Yeah.
So I'm arrested again, 6 days again in the holding cell. I'm taking now, back up. I've had, when I went to court the second time, when I was arrested the second time in January, went to court 2 or 3 days after I was arrested. They immediately offered me a misdemeanor on the bond absconding as well as the kidnapping charge. And I wouldn't do it. I said, no, we're going to have a jury trial and I'm going to represent myself. Again, I was denied to represent myself. I found out later they were having court without me because I didn't know until I went to jail. Thank God that I had plenty of people giving me a little bit of advice. A lot of these girls have been in trouble for a long time. So the only way to fire your attorney and represent yourself is to get before the judge. So they would have court without me.
Then you cannot do anything. So you missed your chance. Yeah, just simply. Yeah.
Yeah. So my attorney, the public defender, says he wanted a mental health evaluation. Now I've already passed 2 the previous year. He wants a mental health evaluation, and he wants me to plead not guilty by reason of insanity on this charge. So it takes them, I wouldn't sign the paperwork, so the judge court ordered it. It takes them 63 days, I believe, from that date to even get the mental health evaluation. So everything's at a standstill with me at this point. I'm waiting on this evaluation. I have the evaluation. The psychologist who performed it says, why would your attorney want to go this route? And I said, if I didn't think he was working for them, I mean, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's they're all trying to discredit.
Yeah. And honestly, the attorneys, the way it's going on, it's like they know each other and they know the judges.
Yeah.
And then, they said, okay, you know what, this case, I really need to win. And this case, it's not so important. I can lose it. It's not important. Just one hand washes the other. One hand washes the other. There is no justice at all. It's really like that. Okay. Yeah.
It's a travesty. It's a travesty. And the thing is, they're all getting paid from your trust account.
Yeah. Sure.
In what I learned that was very profound, and I'm happy for the experience. I didn't. It wasn't okay to go to jail. It was a terrible travesty of justice. However, I learned a lot, and one of the things that I learned was anybody will tell you that's in the court system that is a good officer or a probation officer, they will tell you these programs for drug court, they don't work. They're set up to fail.
Yeah.
Even if somebody is sober and doing well, they'll say that their urine or their drop was
Yeah.
diluted. It's they can never win. They can never win.
Never.
Well, I
Yeah.
later learned they're getting $50,000 a pop every person who's enrolled
stays
in the program.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
it's so sad. It's so sad. If humans really would understand what is going on, what is really going on, there would be, I don't know, there would be a real war.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We don't realize that we're still in enslavement.
We're
still
absolutely.
being enslaved.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were talking about the language that they use, and really there is this Black Law dictionary, and everybody should have one, really, because if you study these words that they use, and if you really study them, and you go in this Black Law dictionary and you look after the words, then you start to understand why you can never ever win there. Yeah.
Right.
And that there is no winning for us there. Yeah. Because this is another language that we don't understand and we don't speak. So, a good investment, it costs about $100, I think, but that would be a real good investment once to buy this Black Law dictionary that everybody can buy.
and just because we're talking primarily about the family courts today, the family fraud courts today, that doesn't mean that if you have something, you don't have children per se. This is affecting people on every level and every walk of life. I can promise you and I could talk to just about anyone and say, this is affecting you in this area.
Yeah.
Even as little as travel back and forth on the roadways. Those are public roadways.
Yeah.
They're extorting us by making us pay registration on our vehicle. Anytime we register something, our children, our birth certificates,
you give it to them.
Yes.
And it's a contract. And after you are in this boat, and you have to follow the rules of the boat, and and there are possibilities to go out. As you told me, you tried, or you still try to take back your, how did you say that in English?
Revoking consent.
Yeah.
And when you do that, I mean, be prepared, because it's not going to be an easy road anyways.
No.
But when you do that, they do try to discredit you. But what I will say is, I think at least the county that arrested me will think twice before they arrest another innocent mother or father.
Yeah.
I do believe that.
Yeah. So then you had this second or third mental health examination, and what happened then?
So one thing that I learned through that process is, if you are pleading not guilty by reason of insanity or using mental health as a defense, is the burden of proof is lifted from the prosecutor to prove you of being guilty, and it is now placed on you and the public defender to prove you are mentally ill. And so
okay.
Why would anybody do that?
Yeah. I mean,
it's not.
No.
So of course I did not consent to that. I did have it. The court ordered it, and I passed it. Of course, I exceeded it. That was primarily to see if I knew how a courtroom worked. And there was some other factors in there, but it was primarily to see if I knew how the courtroom worked.
Yeah.
So that was approximately 90 days in. I was there for 6 months. When I was there for 4 months, my partner died.
Oh my God.
He passed away. He was found in his car at the job site. And so, let me back up that I never knew when I was going to have court. I was never given any kind of paperwork nor case number on the kidnapping charge.
Yeah.
Because
this, they are not obligated to do that. I'm normally they, I mean, no. Yes. I don't know in the USA, but here I guess that they could not do it this way. I'm not sure, but
I did get paperwork, and I would know about the absconding bond hearing, which was probably the only thing they actually could have done. Mm-hmm. So they were probably thankful that I bonded out so they could have something, you know. But the kidnapping, no, I didn't have a case number. I didn't have anything. And so I would just randomly go to court one day, not knowing, not preparing.
This is also torture. I mean, this is absolute torture. They keep you and you don't know, you have nothing, and you don't know when it something happened, or when can you go to the judge or whatever. I mean,
right. And then you add in the dynamics of girls coming into the cell that are maybe in a drug-induced schizophrenia. You're not getting sleep. Let's just say that. So you're stressed on every level, and then to just be called into court. And so 2 days after my partner died, I was called to court again. I didn't know I was going to have court. Through this whole process, this was 4 months in, I believe, and this was in May. Through this process, I'm trying to represent myself. I crossed the whole box out. I didn't want a public defender, so I'm still fighting. I had to pass this mental health evaluation. That's done. Okay, now I got to get before a judge to represent myself. So conveniently, I'm called in 2 days after my partner passed away. I hadn't slept. I prepared the judge and said, you know, this has happened. I haven't slept much, but this is where I'm at. He asked me if I wanted to postpone. I said, no, I don't want to postpone this. Perhaps I should have, because he starts asking me all these questions, and this is what could happen, and if you represent yourself, blah, blah, blah. And I put my head down, I'm off camera, and he says, are you still with us? And I said, put my head up, and I said, you stole my children. My husband's dead, and I don't care what you do. And they postponed the hearing. About a week later, I get before the judge again. This time I agreed to accept another public defender. I know they're not working for me. You know, I know that much. But at this point, I've been there nearly 6 months. I'm
you're done. I mean, hey, come on. This is just torture. 100%.
Seeing girls come and go, come back.
You know? And you just stay there. I mean,
So, anyways, then I go before the judge to hear about, or I see my attorney, and he says, well, we're looking at November for a jury trial. And I thought, okay, well, that makes sense. This is now May or June. And now, mind you, I've been asking the guards about once a week to check and see if I have any upcoming court cases. And nope, nothing on the docket. And so I'm called down, a surprise, we're having court today. And I said, since when? You know, I've been asking. And he said, oh, this has been on there. And he said, we're going to have jury trial. We're going to do this. I got him to move it up. Like, he's doing me a favor, right? I got them to move it up from November to 2.5 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now. And I thought,
impossible.
No way. No way. But you have to play this cat and mouse game, because they're not working for you, but you also don't want to disclose everything you
for sure.
So I go back to my cell, and I tell some of the guards, I tell some of the inmates, there's no way I'm not going to have a jury trial. And the guards for sure knew that I wouldn't either. You know, that's too soon. It's too soon. You have to, jury selection takes much longer than that. Plus you got to call your witnesses. So it fast forward about a week and a half. these girls, some of them kind of, they had seen a few things that I said, this isn't going to happen or this will happen. And so they kind of trusted, but some of them were like, oh, they'll do a jury trial.
Yeah.
So about a week before that, before this supposed jury trial,
Yeah.
they put word through the jail that they're going to do early releases because COVID was back, and that they had to get rid of all the family court people prior to letting everybody else out of jail.
Out of jail.
And so, as you can see, they were putting a target on me, which inevitably did not work.
Yeah. Fortunately, I mean.
Fortunately. Yeah. So I was supposed to have jury trial on a Monday or on a Wednesday. On Monday, my attorney called me down and said, look, if you will plead guilty to the absconding bond. Now our deal, his and mine deal, was I was going to have a jury trial so that I could tell my story. He was going to have limited appearance in my trial. I would be representing myself primarily, and the jury would now hear mine and my children's story.
Yeah.
So heck, if I go to jail still after that, I don't care, as long as someone hears what is going on.
What is really going on. Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
Right. So by them dropping the jury trial, or by them dropping the kidnapping charge and only allowing me to have the absconding, in their way, they put a push on me, because what is able to be presented as evidence would only be associated with the absconding. I can't talk about the kidnapping and what's gone on there, right? So I get before the judge. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to plead guilty to it. I'm ticked off. You've wasted 6 months of my life. My partner's gone. My children have been separated and alienated from me for a year, at least. And I'm not doing it. I'm not making this easy on you guys. I'm not.
Yeah.
So this was on a Monday. My jury hearing was supposed to be that Wednesday. I told the judge, I mean, 2 days from now is when we were supposed to have the supposed jury trial.
Yeah.
They pretty much throw me out due to Corona. They dropped the kidnapping charge. This absconding is still out there. It's been postponed twice since July when I was released.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So that's still out there. I highly doubt it will go to trial. I mean, I highly doubt it will, but we'll see what games they have.
So this is still open. This is still, you don't know. This case is still open.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting about this is, to abscond bond, you have to have a felony charge. Okay. So you have to have a felony charge, which they had me as a felony kidnapping.
Yeah.
And so now that charge has been dropped,
they
still have the right. It's interesting. It'll be interesting to see how they work around it.
How they turn it around to, yeah. Okay. And your children now, where are they? Did you, are you in contact with them? Can you see them? Have you seen them, or?
So I have 4 children. My oldest daughter is 21. We've been estranged for 3.5 years. She did, when my partner passed, she did take all of our things that were in the storage unit, like her sister's belongings, scrapbooks, all of so she has those things, and I'm glad that she has them. They're in a safe spot. She has not reached out. We've been alienated and we were close. We were very close.
Oh, sad.
My son is 19. She's independent. She's on her own. And my son is also on his own. He's doing phenomenal. He's going into seminary. And he has just recently reached out, which was great to hear from him.
Oh, nice.
Then my 15-year-old, the one that I was falsely arrested for kidnapping.
Yeah.
I have had word that she has been moved out of state, and no one knows what state, where she's
Where
at.
she is. Okay.
Right.
Mhm.
And then my 8-year-old is still with her father, who is the known, really, and like on paper, a known abuser. She's very much in danger. And
Do you
there's,
know where they live, or do you see
yes,
her
yes,
sometimes? Yeah.
yes. I do know where she lives.
Yeah.
I'm not able to access her when I've gone over there. Even when I dropped off birthday presents, they were discarded.
Yeah.
My mother's tried to see her. It's
Nothing.
no one's allowing it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a chance there to change that with child protection services or whatever? I mean, it's kind of a stupid question, but for the
maybe we need to answer it for other people.
yeah. A normal
I've been down that
person
road.
would say, yeah, but the child protection, I mean, they have to do something, but yeah.
But they don't.
They
They don't.
don't. Yeah, I know.
I
So
reported abuse a number of times, probably initially when I left him. And then there was about a year after I left, she came home with some disturbing behaviors, and it
yeah,
was quite evident something had happened. I
yeah.
reported that, and protective services put a mouth swab in my mouth and tested me for drugs. Same child had a counselor that reported some abuses at her father's house and was mailed back a letter saying they weren't even going to investigate it. So what
Well,
a lot of folks don't understand is these narcissists, these abusers, they have a way of charming.
yeah, they are
We
very
went
good at
round
that.
and round and round with
Yeah,
animal control. I had
yeah,
a dog that was being tortured. I mean, we had to sneak to feed and water the dog. We had to, me and my boys, my stepson and my son built a little makeshift shed so that the dog had shelter because he was out padlocked
yeah,
outside.
yeah,
Animal control would come, and my ex-husband would buffalo him. That's an outside dog. I rescued him. I saved his life. I'm a good guy.
mhm,
The dog will trash my house. And he showed the abuse as a good thing. Like,
mhm.
I'm this philanthropist,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's wild how they can charm people.
yeah. And narcissistic people are very, very good at that. And if you
Very.
don't know them deeper and for
Mhm.
longer, you cannot
Yes.
see through that. Yeah, it's very difficult to see through. Wow, Carrie, what that it's very heavy. I mean, we laughed sometimes, yeah,
Yeah.
during the interview, but it's such a heavy, dark, heavy story. My
Yeah.
God, how are you? I mean, really, how are you with all that?
You know, I find solace in meeting other people like yourself, and some of the other that we know in common,
Yeah,
Julian, and
yeah,
I don't want to name too many people, but our story is not that uncommon.
yeah.
It's not the exception. It's not a
No,
few mistakes
unfortunately, yeah,
slipped through the cracks. No, it's the rule.
yeah,
It's the
yeah,
rule.
yeah. More and more. More and more.
And
It
so coming across
started
others.
like it. Anyway, it was always like that. But before they targeted other children and other things. Yeah, in Canada they were all these stories about these Inuit children and Indian children and I don't know what. But
Yes.
and today it's every children and it can happen to everybody. Really, people must
Yes.
understand that. Yeah, that's not it's not something that just happened to a certain kind of people. It can happen to everybody, all the time. I mean,
Yes.
it's yeah, yeah,
And with this COVID and the schools, one thing I would urge people is to really consider homeschooling,
yeah.
really
Take them out.
home,
Yeah,
take them
yeah.
out.
Take
It's
them out.
it's a scary situation.
Yeah.
I can foresee one day you go to pick up your child from school and you haven't vaccinated
Yeah.
them and they're no longer there.
Oh yeah.
They're in quarantine.
Yeah.
No.
We are going there slowly but surely. Yeah, even in Switzerland, which is you cannot think about that. In Switzerland, we are or we thought we are the freest and democratic, most democratic country in the world. No, forget it. We have no rights. And we never had rights. We had privileges, and they are taken off now. So
now in Switzerland and Germany, you have done away with jury trial, correct?
With what?
Jury trial.
Yeah.
Trial by jury.
Yeah, but we don't have that anymore. I think it stopped in 2011. They stopped that, and now you don't have jury trial again. So yeah, you know what it means. I mean, but even then, you had a better chance to really have justice when you have a jury trial. But without, it's very, very heavy to.
But then you can see from my case, they can hinder that.
Yeah.
They also, can do what they want to
of course. That. Yeah.
I mean, they keep me in jail for 6 months to drop the charge and say not guilty, or just drop it.
I mean, they destroy the life of people just like that, and they don't care about. Really, they don't care about the human being, the mental health of the human being, the trauma which is generated for the children, for you, for your family, for you. Yeah, it's so inhuman. And a lot of people, even with COVID today, you can see that they cannot think again like a real human being. Right. They are like somewhere else, but they just have a heart of stone, and no, they cannot think like a normal people should think,
Disconnected.
Yeah, completely disconnected. Yeah. This is very sad and frightening also for the future of everybody. Yeah. So what now you are waiting for another court or something, or?
Yes. The 28th of this month, I am supposed to have a jury trial.
Yeah.
I don't foresee that happening. I believe they'll postpone it again.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
And that's just on the absconding.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so you continue to fight.
Yes.
Me also. We have to. It's for. I always say to people, I do that for you also.
Right.
I don't do it just for me. I do that for everybody. Yeah. And if you had a wish, a wish for the future, for you, for your children, for whatever, what would it be if you just could wish?
I of course would want to be reunited with my children.
Yeah, sure.
I know when that happens, there will be some healing and some, they've been exposed to a lot of trauma that I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
But that reuniting. But I also, now that my oldest two are adults on their own, and I can think back about their passions and their strengths and their weight, the things that they're really good at, and their faith. I could envision my son helping me fight this fight and educating people and just really looking to make awareness of what's happening and the threat is on so many levels.
Yeah.
And be advocates for other children who have experienced these types of things.
Yeah. this is also very, very important that these victims, the children who were victims, that they speak out. Yeah. Really, that they speak out and that they are heard also, or heard. Oh, my English sometimes it's very bad.
You're fine.
Sorry. That they are really heard by as many people as possible, because children, they are going through so much trauma. It's so traumatizing for them just to be separated from the parents and yeah, to be in this downward spiral. Yes. That they are thrown in, and it's not their fault and nothing. So yeah, is there anything like a last sentence or something that you would say to the people that you think it's important that they know?
Yes.
Go ahead.
This is affecting all of us in different ways. This will be at your doorstep. This isn't just about me and my children. This isn't just about Sonia. This is happening all over. This isn't a men-women thing. This isn't a black-white thing. This is happening. Yeah. And it all goes back to the trust account. Yeah. So my best advice would research the Cestui, Cestui.
I will put it in the video.
Put it down there. Okay, thank you. Cestui Act. Revoke your consent. If you're going through a divorce, you have this child custody thing going on, don't participate in the family fraud courts. You won't win. You won't win.
No. Yeah.
And hold those babies close. Yeah. Hold your babies close.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way this all comes tumbling down is us all uniting together. And all of us standing up and saying we're not going to take this anymore.
We are. Yeah, absolutely.
And get that Black's Law dictionary.
Good idea. Yeah, no, I thank you so much, Carrie, for your time, and that you just you lay out your life in front of the internet of us, and that you do that. And really, I hope things will from now on going well for you, your family, your children, that you can see them also, that you can reunite. It's so important. And I wish you all the best, and thank you so much. And we keep in touch anyway. If there are people who seeing this video and want to ask a question, then maybe they can send a message on YouTube or something, and I will transfer you the message, and then you can see whatever you wish to do with it.
Okay.
Carrie, thank you very, very much. And I hug you, a big, big hug from Switzerland.
Okay.
And we keep in touch. Take care, and all the best for you and your family. Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless.